course, the digestive system will actually be a part of this concept, because after looking at nutrients, then the digestive system in terms of how those nutrients or food digest is what you should be looking at. So as a person who do HNS, the notes pretty much are almost the same as I would have said before in terms of HNS and integrated science. Some of the notes, they are actually the same. The only difference for most part is that there is experiment component that comes along with the notes for integrated science. So the need for food, and of course you can also see the need for nutrients in terms of what are the importance for us to consume or eat in terms of taking in the all of the needed nutrients. So the fact that when we eat, we consume different nutrients, that simply means that all of those nutrients have their individual functions. So what they're saying is that human need a variety of foods to ensure that they are healthy. So variety of foods simply mean different types of nutrients. So the only way we can consider to be healthy is by we taking all the different types of nutrients, because basically all the nutrients have their specific functions. For example, protein. So let's say for example you're eating a lot of carbohydrates, you're eating a lot of fat, vitamins, and of course the minerals, but you're not eating enough protein, then of course you will suffer from deficiency in terms of lack of protein. And the main purpose for protein in the human body is to actually repair your muscles and build your muscles. So if you're not eating enough protein, then basically your muscles will not be healthy. The second pointer, balanced diet provides the energy and material necessary for growth and maintenance of the body. So in terms of material, I just give you the function for protein. So protein will be one of those very important nutrient, because in order for your muscles to grow or in order for your muscles to develop, then of course protein is needed to grow and repair it. In terms of maintenance, basically it is not like your muscles just gonna grow and that's it. It need to be maintained in terms of it being healthy. And again, protein is very important there. Foods contain different proportions of 5 food groups. There are 6 types of food groups in the Caribbean. So as for different regions of the world, the amount of food groups may vary. But as for the Caribbean, they are saying that there are 6 types. And on the screen you will see the types. You have staples, you have legumes, you have food from animals, fruits, vegetables, and of course fats and oil. So those are food groups. So we need to know that food groups different from nutrients, from different types of nutrients. So we have different types of food and we have different types of nutrients. So as you can see, fruits, that is considered to be a food group. So think of all the fruits, then you actually put them under that category. Vegetables, you put all of them under that category. So staples, that include like most of ground provisions or things that come from ground provision, and which contain a lot of carbohydrates. So that's why you're seeing the dashing, the banana, plantain, breadfruit, corn, all those rice, all those are considered to be staples, because staples, that is a food that is a food group that we get most of our carbohydrate for, which provide the human body with energy. So they are saying as for the Caribbean, there are actually 6 food groups, which we must be aware of those 6 food groups. So the food groups and their nutrients. So the first food group we're looking at is known as staples, and there they give you some examples in terms of food that fall under this category. So we have oats, we have banana, rice, we have cornmeal, breadfruit, we have potato, and of course flour. And definitely we have a lot more that can be put underneath this category. So the main nutrients that you will find in staples in terms of food groups is basically the carbohydrates them. So once you're talking about staples in terms of food group, then your mind or your energy should garner towards these foods. So carbohydrates are made from elements carbon, oxygen, and of course hydrogen. So for test purpose, I can ask you to give me a state or list the different element or the 3 elements that make up carbohydrates. They are energy giving food. So that is what carbohydrates and of course staples are known for. So the nutrient, which of course is the carbohydrate, and the food group, which is staples. I'm saying that this is well known for providing a lot of energy. So if you want to ensure that the human body is getting a lot of energy, don't feed the body on a lot of fruits or a lot of vegetable, because that is not those plants those food don't represent a large number in terms of providing energy. The body get energy from fat, protein, and carbohydrates. So yes, the human body will get some energy from fat, it will get it from protein, and it will get it from carbohydrate. But get energy quicker from carbohydrates. So what they are saying is that yes, our body will get energy from all those 3 macronutrients, because macronutrients mean that we would consume those in large amount. It is just that they are saying that carbohydrate allow the energy to come out much quicker. That simply means that the whole digestive process as for carbohydrate it seems to be much quicker than protein, and of course definitely fats. Alright, so a deficiency of carbohydrates may result in a person lacking energy, right? So the person sometimes they just feel tired, they feel like them are going to faint, especially in the mornings. So once you're not eating or getting enough carbohydrates, then definitely you're not gonna be as strong or as energetic as the person or the individual who's consuming a lot of carbohydrate. Because as I would have said before, carbohydrate is the main nutrient that the human body depend on for energy. Not that it don't use energy from other nutrient, but this is the number one nutrient that the body look at in order to get energy. Moving on to our next food group. Now this one is known as legumes, right? So on the diagram we can see some of the products that are there. We have cashew, we have peanut, of course peas, beans, all those nuts, those fall under legumes. So proteins, the main nutrient that you will find in this type of food group will be protein. So protein consists of large number of amino acids, right? So the smaller component that make up protein They are known as amino acids. So they are normally joined together to form a long molecule. So in terms of the amino acids, they normally said that protein from animal source contain 20 different amino acid, while protein from plants will only contain 19 or sometimes 18 of those amino acid that join together to form protein. So once you're consuming protein from plant source, like for example peanut, they are saying that you will not get all 20 amino acid because some are missing. But if you get the protein from animal source, then that is when you will have what is called complete protein. Because complete protein meaning simple that you actually have control over it because you get all 20 amino acid. So protein is used to make up tissues, repair old tissues, and make enzyme. So that point there is just giving you some of the functions of protein in the human body. So it helps to make tissue, and of course repair old tissue and make enzymes. So definitely a lot in terms of function there for it. Also used to provide energy, and of course still used to provide some amount of energy, but not as much as other nutrients such as carbohydrate. So lack of protein may cause a disease such as kwashiorkor, marasmus. Right, so if you can't pronounce it, try at least know the spelling for it. So that is a deficiency disease. So that's deficiency mean that you are not getting enough of. That's what deficiency means. Alright, so moving on, lipids, fats and oils, I should say. So that's the next category in terms of food groups. So fats and oil, and this would include red meat, cheese, butter, and of course avocado, what we call pear. So in terms of the red meat, we're talking about, like for example, mutton. Alright, that is an example of red meat. So as for the lipids, so lipids is the same thing as fats. So lipids at room temperature. So like for example, if you're sitting in a temperature or in a room which is not too hot or not too cold, that is what is called room temperature. Which of course room temperature is like about 36-37 degrees thereabout. So at room temperature, fats are solids and oils are liquid. So that is at room temperature. So let's say for example you just throw the oil in the pot and you don't light the stove nor anything, then that oil is under what is known as that environment. So the second pointer, lipids are made from the elements carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. So if you're being asked to state the different smaller components that make up lipids, then basically you'll have there. So you have the carbon, you have the hydrogen, and you have the oxygen. Consists of fatty acids and glycerol molecules that are joined together. So fatty acids and glycerol, they are small, extremely small component that normally go through the digestive system. So once you consume fats or lipids in the human body cannot use it in those large format. So that is why some breakdown need to take place where the digestive system now gonna break down the food into so much smaller molecules, so much smaller things um, that can be picked up. Moving on to the fourth pointer, fats are insoluble in water. So insoluble means that it cannot melt out, it cannot break up. So fats are insoluble in water. Eating too much fat can cause overweight and obesity. Where I say if you have an individual that is eating too much fat, can cause you to become overweight, and you being overweight, you have to start to try to actually get rid of that weight, because if it should allow to take place over a longer period of time, then that is when you will become obese. So as in for overweight and obesity, there's a slight difference where overweight is normally whenever you're over the normal body weight, over by a small amount. So let's say for example you should weigh 130 and you weigh 135, 140, then you're overweight. Obesity now is when you're definitely bothered by this excessive weight. That is so obesity is like a disease, while overweight is just like something that is temporary. So for somebody who you know for 20 years, for 10 years, they are in that state in terms of the amount of weight that they have, where it is not getting any less, then that is of course known as obesity. So obesity is whenever you have an excessive weight. That means that you're extra fat, you have one whole eat more than the normal. So the next food group, food from animals, and I mean this one is easy, simple. So we have cheese, milk, fish, poultry, kidney, right? So those are food from animals. And of course we have vegetables, so these are some examples of vegetable. And the main nutrients found in vegetables and are basically vitamins and minerals. So as for fruits, again we have just some straightforward notes that you should easily grasp in terms of the concept. So they are saying that the main nutrient found in the vegetables are lettuce. The main are vitamins and of course minerals. So vegetables such as lettuce, cucumber, cabbage, tomato. So those are examples of vegetables where you will find vitamins and minerals as in the main nutrients. Alright, so moving on to the energy value of food. So when you look at the labelings of foods, let's say especially chips that you might purchase, there's normally a labeling, and that labeling very important in terms of the amount of information that normally on that labeling. So most of the food we eat is used to provide energy, right? So the nutrient that will give us energy will be carbohydrate, and you will realize that the plate that your food is shared into, you will realize that every time it is shared, you kind of have more carbohydrate than normal. And that is simply because this is a nutrient that the human body depends on for energy. So basically, in a nutshell, really need it. Carbohydrates provide energy quickly, while lipids are longer term energy source. So straightforward again. So some immediate energy is needed, then the carbohydrate can provide that. The next pointer, the energy content of food is the amount of energy released when digestion is complete. Right, so the digestive process would have to complete before you can decide how much energy, because at the point at which that is simple because of the amount of energy that the human body will need. So we have an exam heading energy value of the macronutrients. So the main nutrients now. So the three macronutrients are carbohydrates, fat, and protein. So we basically want to find out how much energy inside of those three different macronutrients. So if you should get the equal amount of these macronutrients, like for example they are saying on the pointer 1 gram of carbohydrate, 1 gram of lipids, and 1 gram of protein. So it is showing how much energy we can get. So from 1 gram of carbohydrate they are saying that we will be able to get 16 kilojoules 16 kilojoules in terms of energy. Lipids, they are saying from 1 gram of lipids you will get 38 kilojoules, and from the protein you will get 17 kilojoules in terms of energy. So as you can see, the amount of energy that is in those are in terms of joules, and you would have just seen them. So food rich in lipids have the highest energy content, as lipids provide more than twice as much energy per gram as carbohydrates or proteins, and you will see that in terms of the difference, almost twice or twice the amount for, of course, the lipids. So they are saying for 1 gram of carbohydrate will give you 16 kilojoules of energy, and 1 gram of lipids will give you 38. So that's a lot in terms of how much energy. And 1 gram of protein will give you 17. So basically what they are saying, of all the nutrients, fat will be, or lipids will be a nutrient that contain a lot of energy. It is just that the human body don't utilize it like that, because once fat is in the human body, then you have a tendency to actually cause an increase in body weight significant. So how much energy we need? So based on what we do on a daily basis, how strenuous of activities that we are doing, that will help us determine the amount of energy that we need to consume on a daily basis. So here we have a graph. So we have male office worker, 10,000 kilojoules, female office worker, 8,500 kilojoules, you can say. No, 9,000 kilojoules. Builder, if you realize the builder one gone way up, and the reason why the builder gonna need more energy is because he would be doing something strenuous. So the more activity you do, that will allow you to develop muscle, or put strain on the human body. That's good. So the pregnant woman, 12,000 kilojoules. Then we have the male teenager. That would be second in line in terms of how much energy it demand. So as you get older, you require less energy because your metabolic rate would slow down. So the metabolic rate in the human body is that these are different chemical reactions in the human body that normally occurs to allow smooth running. So again, as you get older, normally definitely lose some amount of those because the human body don't need to pressure itself in terms of functioning like that. So young people need more energy for the recreation in their body, for the reaction, as we say, in their body, to make new proteins for growth. So young people at your age, for example, you need to consume a lot of protein because at that stage, this is when your muscles are developed. And as I would have said, in terms of developing muscles and repairing them, the protein is very important in that. Very, very, very important. So the amount of energy a person need each day depend on their age and gender. Because generally male have a tendency to actually use more energy than female. And also the type of work that you're doing, that definitely will affect your energy level in terms of how much energy you're going to need. Alright, so balanced diet definitely have different definitions, but they have to have some key terms in it for it to be correct. So balanced diet is one in which a person receives the right amount of the different nutrients the body need to stay healthy. So then say right amount. So you can consume the same amount, same percentage, same equal amount in terms of the different nutrients. They must be in the right amount. Because if you is actually taking too much of a particular nutrient, then you can develop high blood pressure. You can develop diabetes. Right, so it is very important for you to try as much as possible to consume balanced diets, because balanced diets are what will definitely make you healthy, because you basically is consuming all of the needed nutrients. So the pointer down the bottom now basically give you an idea as to how much percentage of the diet should be allocated to whatever nutrients. You can look at it and just look at the percentage, as in how much you need for the different nutrients. Alright, so as you look at it, you will see that the balanced diet will consist of, so you have a meal in front of you, at least or approximately 55% of it should be carbohydrate. 15% of the meal you have in front of you should contain lipids, or if you want to say fats, while 20% should be protein, and the other 10% it should be allotted to water, vitamins and minerals. So once you have a proper balanced diet in front of you, in terms of percentage, that is how it should almost look. So you will see that 55% of your meal goes to, carbohydrates. So that definitely, I will tell that is a lot, that a bit more than half. So that's why if you're eating rice and peas and chicken, then you will see that most of the plate, most of the dish covered with the rice, because the rice it contains the carbohydrate. As a 15% for the lipids, or if you want to say fats, and of course lipids and fats have some important role to play in the human body. It helps to cushion the organs. It helps to keep the human body warm. Right, so those are examples of of lipids doing its work in the human body. As for protein now, 20%, so protein second in line, and that is simply because protein have a very important function. Again, it helps to make a substance or a chemical that is known as an enzyme. An enzyme is really needed in order to make the digestive process more efficient. Understand? So very, very important. Water, vitamins and minerals, just omega 10% for those, but definitely they still need to be taken into the body, because water, for example, is very important because it is what form all body fluids. So all of the body fluids that you have inside of you, it is water that forms it. So very important for you to consume enough water, because whenever you sweat, then you lose some water. Whenever you urinate, you lose some water. So as a result of so many persons losing the water, at least 10% they are saying must be vitamins, minerals and water. So malnutrition. So as for malnutrition, this occurs or this normally takes place when a person does not receive sufficient or more sufficient of one or more food groups. It can also occur when they eat too much of one or more of the food group. Now what they are saying is that malnutrition is whenever you eat too much of a nutrient, and malnutrition is also when you eat too little of a particular nutrient. So that is malnutrition. So it swing on both sides. When you eat too much, then you're suffering from malnutrition, and if you eat too little, then you're suffering from malnutrition. So that is why the balance there is very important. Because if you're eating too much fat, then you're gonna become overweight, and definitely can lead to obese. Now, if you're eating too little, then definitely you're gonna lose a lot of weight, and you're not gonna be that healthy because you're just not getting enough. So PEM, protein, energy, malnutrition. So persons, especially kids back in Africa, normally affected by malnutrition a whole lot, and that is simply because back that side of the world, I mean, there are a lot of droughts, and because there are so much drought back there, then in some of those nations they're definitely in problem. Lack of food will result in condition known as kwashiorkor. So kwashiorkor, if you're not getting enough food that contain the protein, then you will suffer from that. And that is what you're seeing on the image, where the belly or the abdomen normally get enlarged than normal. So once you see that is happening, then you're suffering from that health issue. food additives. So food additives. So when you look at labeling, you will see different things that are added to the food. You will see different nutrients that are in the food. So this is when substances are added to food for different reasons. So you can add substance to the food to make it taste different, to make it taste sweet. So the additive is substance that you normally add to it to give extra boost, like in those sodas, when the fact that they put the acid in it. Now, as for this labeling, down the bottom where you have ingredients, so those are all the things that make this particular product. Everything. So once you're manufacturing food, it is a must that you have this type of labeling on your bottles or anything. Once you're doing it, it's best if you have a labeling, because the labeling show exactly what are in that particular food product that you're consuming. So it's a must that you have it. Once you're handling food, right, the food that you sell or whatever, they must contain those. So diet and sport. Right, so once you somebody who take part in sport, then most definitely you're gonna need more energy. So any exercise or work that we do requires energy. So there are two ways in which the body obtain energy. We have aerobic respiration and we have anaerobic respiration. So as for sport person, they're definitely gonna need a lot of energy. Alright, so as for aerobic respiration, in aerobic respiration, oxygen is used to break down the glucose, because the glucose is definitely where the energy is stored. So the oxygen inside now will help to break it down. Aerobic respiration take place in the mitochondria. Right, so if you are being asked which part of the cell allow aerobic respiration to take place, then it would be in the mitochondria. Then they have the worded equation for aerobic respiration, which of course is glucose plus oxygen, then forward arrow, carbon dioxide plus water plus energy, of course. So that is the symbolic equation for it. Anaerobic respiration now. Energy is released from glucose without using oxygen. Now, whenever you're running a short distance race, for example, or whenever an athlete is running a short distance race, their body system will need some energy, will need some energy fast, right away. So anaerobic respiration is what will give them that energy. It is just that for anaerobic respiration, yes, you get the energy, but it's not gonna last for any long time. So the first point again, energy is released from the glucose without using oxygen. So no oxygen is needed for anaerobic respiration to take place. So it normally take place without the presence of oxygen. It is just that after anaerobic respiration take out the energy, then of course some amount of energy would left back. So and the stage or the process of anaerobic basically will fill that gap. As for where anaerobic respiration take place, they are saying that it is in the cytoplasm. Remember that as for and as for aerobic respiration, it normally take place inside the mitochondria. But as for the anaerobic one now, it take place in that section. So in the cytoplasm of the cell, that's where anaerobic take place. The last pointer there. Anaerobic respiration takes place when the body has a sudden large demand for energy. So let's say for example you're sprinting and you're gonna need some bursts of energy quick right away. So definitely gonna need a lot of energy quickly, and basically the energy is needed really fast, really fast.